Get ready for 2 easy and affordable St. Patrick's Day crafts and a little treat at the end of the rainbow. Welcome to my channel, Craft, Eat, Repeat. Hey guys, it's Aneka and welcome to my channel, Craft, Eat, Repeat. So I don't usually decorate for St. Patrick's Day, but I've been crafting a lot and I saw so many cute ideas and I just wanted to make some stuff. So I got some inspiration from a channel that I love, Christy's Crafts DIY. I saw one of her DIYs and I kind of changed it up, put my own spin on it for St. Patrick's Day. So you guys, I'm gonna put the link to her channel down below since she was the inspiration for this craft and I want you guys to go check it out. And then the other craft was me trying to figure out how I was gonna recycle some boxes that I have around the house. And you guys are not gonna believe how this came out. I'm impressed with myself and that does not happen very often. So I hope you like it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll be ready when my next video comes out. And everybody, please head down to the comments and let me know at the end of the video which one of these was your favorite. And do you decorate for St. Patrick's Day? Because I'm finding that people either go all the way out or they don't decorate at all. I think I might be moving towards the decorate side because these DIYs were really fun. Okay guys, let's get started. Okay, let's craft. Now, Christy inspired me to do some crafts with this plunger. This came from Dollar Tree and I'm just gonna pop the plunger off the end and use the stick. Next, I got 2 of the canvases from the Dollar Tree and this was a pain to get the canvas off of the frame. I found it easiest to just pull it off in strips. If you have a staple remover, that might be easier. I just didn't have one. Also, guys, I decided at the end of the project to only use 1 of these, but you're gonna see me paint 2 because at this point I thought I was gonna do 2. Next, I want to stain my wood. So I don't have any wood stain, so I'm gonna use the trick where I use half chalk paint and half water. I'm gonna mix it together and it acts just like a stain. You could do this with any color of chalk paint and it's just a really cool way to add a pop of color to your DIY projects at home. So just like I would with a wood stain, I'm going to paint it on and then I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe it off. Now I decided to go for a dark colors and you can't really see in the video, but you can see all the greens in the wood when you see this in person and it looks so great. Once those are done, I'm going to do the same thing to the toilet bowl plunger. I'm going to stain the wood, paint it on there, and wipe it right off. After I've got all my wood stained, I'm going to take it off and work on the next part of my project. Now, I just printed this off from Microsoft Word. I can't recall the name of the font that I use. I will look it up and put it for you down in the description box. But I printed off these letters and I just taped them right onto some project board that I got from Dollar Tree. And once I have that nice and secure, I'm going to put a cutting board down to protect my surface, and I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to cut out my letters. Once I've gotten it all the way traced with my X-Acto knife, I can just pop it right out of the foam board. Now guys, it might take a pass or 2 for you to get these out, and even after I got them out, there were some pieces that needed a little more attention. So I just went back afterwards and shaved off any little pieces that were hanging off. Next, I wanted to paint my letters, and I started out with this gold chalk paint that I have, And then I knew I wanted to add pennies, so I put some on there, decided I didn't like it, and reached for this copper paint that I have at my house. Now, if you don't have copper paint, I think this would also look really good with white, or you could even try maybe a green. Just play around and see what looks good. But I have to tell you guys, this copper paint came out looking amazing. It really made the pennies pop, and it made my word lucky shine and shimmer like the gold at the end of a rainbow. Now, what you really want to make sure you get is the sides of your letters, because we're going to cover up the fronts with some pennies. Now, I made my husband run to the store and ask for pennies, and he did not want to. Apparently, he got in a conversation with the cashier about his wife who is crafting in the middle of the night and needed some rolls of pennies. But he came back with 3 rolls, and from those 3 rolls, I was able to find enough shiny pennies to complete my project. Now, I will say some of these pennies were kind of gross, so either get 4 rolls just to make sure you have enough, or make sure you factor in some time to clean off some of these pennies. Now I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue them right onto my letters. And I made some mistakes on some of these, and I was able to pop the pennies right off. So if you feel so inclined, you could still use this money to buy something with after the holiday is over. Once I have all of my pennies covered, I'm going to go back and work on my frame. Now, because this was a toilet bowl plunger, I could see the threads at the end of the stick. So I just went through with some twine and wrapped it around to cover that up. Now, you guys are going to see later that I'm going to also add some twine to hang it with. I really should have done it at this point, but I was kind of making up this project as I went. I was having fun and using my imagination, and I ended up doing it later. But when you're making it at home, cover both sides with twine and then pull some twine across so that you're able to hang it. You'll see what I mean when I get to that point later. Once that's done, I laid out my letters for my word lucky. I did them backwards. Make sure you do them backwards and upside down, or when you flip it over, your word will be backwards. Now, I used some of this ribbon that I have. It's so cute. It's got some little green shamrocks on it to bring that green in for the holidays. And I made sure to glue it on there, and I put at least 1 inch of glue and ribbon on the back of my letters. They did get a bit heavy with those pennies, and I wanted to make sure that there was enough there to hold the weight. Because my ribbon had shamrocks on it, I realized that I almost glued the shamrocks upside down. So I just wanted to make sure that it looked right from the front. So make sure that you're doing it the way you want to see it from the front so that you don't have to go back and redo your work. Once that was all secured, I wanted to add my frame. Now here's where I decided that I only wanted 1 frame. Now what you're looking at here is the front of my frame. I decided I wanted to see a little more of those green shamrocks, so I decided to, instead of just putting my ribbon on the back of the frame like I did with the letters, I wrapped it around the front and then I secured it to my letters. And I decided that about the middle of my letters was the center of the U and one of the legs of the K. Depending on how you space out your letters, just kind of eyeball it and see how your frame is going to look right in the middle of your letters. So once my ribbon was attached to my picture frame, I flipped it over and glued it onto my letters. A dab of hot glue was all I needed, and it stayed pretty secure. Then I just snipped off the extra ribbon and there I had it. I love how these letters look with the pennies on the front. I think they're so shiny. I love how this is reminiscent of St. Patrick's Day, but it's not completely green. It's still pretty neutral, which I love. Now, in order to add a picture to my frame, I needed to add a little clip. This is one of the clips that I got from Dollar Tree in the craft section. I decided to paint it green to bring a little more of that green element in, and I used chalk paint, so this dried very quickly. Now, while that was drying, I realized that I needed to hang my picture, so you'll see how I wrap it around here, but just remember to do this step before you glue all your letters on. You'll thank me, it will be much easier to do it in an earlier step. Now that my paint is dried on my clip, I'll just use a little bit of hot glue and add it to my frame. Now, I got these from the Dollar Tree. They're little Shamrocks, very glittery. I couldn't decide if I wanted to use the matte side or the glittery side. In the end, I chose the glitter. I just got a little bit of white chalk paint, and I decided to write so on my Shamrocks because I decided I was going to put a picture of my family in this, and I just feel so lucky with my kids and my dear husband who will run out in the middle of the night to get me rolls of pennies so I can finish my craft project. A little dab of hot glue, and they were ready to go. And the final touch is the picture of my family who I love so much. You guys, I absolutely love how this came out. It looks so shiny and it's just beautiful. I hope you guys try it at home. Now, this was a last minute project that I decided to do, and I'm going to use some empty boxes that I had around the house. If you're going to do this, make sure to open your boxes from the side instead of using that perforation. It'll make it much easier to secure back together. Also, you want to make sure to secure the edges all the way around if you can. I want to make this look like a block of wood, and so I wanted to make sure there was as little openings as possible because that would make it hard to get that wood look. So I just used a little hot glue, dabbed it all around the openings, and glued it shut. Now, I didn't do it at the time because once again, I was making this up on the fly, but if you are going to have this in a heavy traffic area in your house, I would recommend putting either some rocks or maybe some floral foam inside the box. That will weight it down just a little bit. Now I want to decide how I want my wood blocks to go. So I want them to be the biggest box on the bottom and the smallest on the top. So I put them in order, and then I made sure that I figured out which side was going to be the front of my box. The smoothest side with the least perforations was what I wanted to be the front of my box, so I made sure as I was painting to make that side look the best. So I'm just going to paint all over my boxes with some chalk paint. I did 2 in white, and with one I used this moss green chalk paint. After my paint was dry, it took about 4 or 5 coats actually to cover up the pictures on these boxes. After they were dry, I came back through and I did a dry brush technique where I just put a little bit of paint on my sponge brush. I dabbed it off on a paper towel until the sponge was almost completely dry, And then I used that dry brush to give it a weathered effect all around the edges. I hit all of the corners, and I also tried to do some right in the middle. This made it look like weathered wood that has been painted, and it gave it that farmhouse look. You guys, I was amazed at how I was able to make these boxes that would have gotten thrown away or put in the recycle, and I took them and made them look like these blocks of wood. For the white boxes, I ended up using brown paint to make my wood look. Next, I took another one of those shamrocks that I got from Dollar Tree, and this one was a little too big for what I needed it for, and so I decided to attempt to draw a shamrock. And you guys, I am not an artist. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know that if something needs to be drawn, I either trace it or I print it out on my copier. So I was kind of proud of my little shamrock when I got done. Next, I located the front of my box. Like I mentioned before, you want it to have the least perforations on it and the smoothest side. I had these stickers that I decided to use, and I just found the middle of my box, and then I started in the middle of my word and put the stickers on. That way you can ensure that your word is nice and centered on your box. Now I decided to write "Love My Little Leprechauns" for this DIY. And instead of an O, I decided to use my little DIY shamrock that didn't come out looking too bad, if I do say so myself. Now for my green wood, I wanted to use white letters, so I used some chalk paint and I just painted over the stickers that were going to go on that block. So I painted all the letters to spell out my and little. This took 2 coats of paint and it dried within 10 minutes, and then I was able to put them onto my wood. Once I added all the letters to my boxes that now look like blocks of wood, I was ready to put them all together. So I stacked them back in order, and then I just used a little bit of hot glue to make sure they all stayed together nice and neat. And you guys, because I used boxes for this, it didn't take much to attach them. They're not coming apart anytime soon, so I feel confident that I can leave this around my house and my little leprechauns will not destroy it. Next, I wanted to add some pictures of my little loves. So I got some pictures from our recent snow day, and I just glued some onto the shamrocks that I had left over from these 2 DIY projects. I secured one onto my wood blocks, or my DIY wood blocks, I should say. The other 2 were hanging off the sides, and these shamrocks are only made out of foam. They're not very sturdy, so I used craft sticks to reinforce the back. Once that was done, I added the final touch, which was just a little bit of ribbon. And that was it. I absolutely love how this came out. I can't believe I made these out of boxes that would have just gone into the trash. I hope you guys try it at home. Now, some of you might not know, but I started out this channel actually making lunches for my daughter, and this one was from my very first lunch, so it's time to eat. I started out with some veggies, some flatbread, and some hummus, and I wanted to make my baby girl some flatbread rainbows. I thought this would be the perfect treat for St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to use red, orange, yellow, and green bell pepper, and sometimes in the spring and summer I can even find purple bell pepper at the farmer's market. That makes this little treat even more fun. Or I should say it's a treat for my daughter, who loves these vegetables and actually ate cauliflower for the first time and said she liked it for the first time because of this rainbow flatbread. So I hope you guys will try it at home for yourselves because it's delicious, but also as a way to get more veggies into your kids. So I used cauliflower for the little clouds, and once it was done, I had a little rainbow. So I put this rainbow into my daughter's lunch, and I left a little special treat for her, 2 little pots of gold. She absolutely loved it, and this has become a staple in our house. I hope you guys try these DIYs. Don't forget to let me know down in the comments which one you like the best. Also, this video is in collaboration with some other awesome YouTubers who have done some DIYs for St. Patrick's Day, so don't forget to check that playlist out down in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time when we repeat it all again.